Okay, so we're about to arrive at Cheetah Plains Pan. There is some water, I think. I can't really see just yet. Ah, there is some water. Now, because of the mist, I'm going to have to take a moment to check carefully that there's nothing striding out of the mist in front of us on the open area. And while we do that, Anna in Atlanta, I think I've heard it correctly, is wondering, are there any types of piranha here? No, unfortunately not. Our main fish species in this area is a catfish, and that's because it can breathe air, and they actually will, when a pan like this dries up, they'll actually walk, not really, they'll slither, up to 4 or 5 kilometers between different...
No, that's incredible.
Oh, James, I thought David seen something, he's like, wow. So they can actually walk up to about 5 kilometers, and they are very evolutionary, very interesting, because they've almost got the development of legs and arms in their fins. So a very, very interesting species. So they can breathe air, and they can move between drying water holes and other water holes. They can also encase themselves in mud. But piranhas are endemic to South America. There's a couple of different species, and on my bucket list to catch one day, even though they don't get very big. Now, of course, with all the horror movies and everything, everyone thinks you put your toe in the water and the piranha will feast on you till there is nothing left. That is, of course, not true. I have actually many friends who've dived with piranhas and snorkeled with them in the Pantanal in Brazil. And you literally have to have an open wound, and even something of our size, if we have an open wound, the likelihood of a piranha feasting on us is very, very slim. Their mouths are very small as well. I mean, they can only open their mouth probably less than an inch. They've got, of course, those razor-sharp teeth, but they are, like a lot of animals that are portrayed in movies, not nearly as savage as we would like them to be, including something like a great white shark. A girl I went to university with, her dad was the first guy to start free diving with great white sharks, and there's some incredible photos. I think if you look online, you can find them, of him holding his hand on a great white shark's nose, free diving. So no cage, no steel armor around him. And I think a lot of our fear that comes through in movies is from, I think it's not so much the fear of the animals, but the fear of the unknown. We don't understand. And that's why we often get a lot of questions, why aren't the animals attacking you and whatnot? And I think it's that fear of the unknown, the fear of not understanding. And we're incredibly lucky. I mean, I've been with elephants since I can remember, since I was 2 years old. So I have a great love, I have a great respect, but I'm not scared of them. But it's understanding the animals, and when you understand something, I think you lose the fear of it. So we are now heading towards the northern boundary of Cheetah Plains. So yesterday morning, or it could have been the morning before, there were male leopard tracks of a very firm favourite of all of ours, Mr. Q, coming from Torchwood into Nkoro, heading south. So no one's checked down here yet, so I'm hoping he might have crossed, and if he hasn't, I'm really hoping we get to see my favourite female leopard in Kanyeni, or those cheetah boys. Well, I think the mist is playing a bit of havoc with our comms, and I know I've got a comment from Aaron, who says, Brent would be so happy, but it cuts out every time when they tell me what I'm supposed to be happy about. Kunyuma! Yes, Aaron, I would be ecstatic. I think I'd actually climb to the bonnet and do a jig if we found Kunyuma this morning. As much as I love old lion tracks going into Nkoro. But the sticks are on a buffalo kill in Nkoro. But so, Aaron, yes, I would be absolutely ecstatic if I saw Kunuma. He's definitely my favorite male leopard since I've been here. And I've been quite lucky. We worked it out the other day. I think I've seen 24 different individual leopards in a year and a half, which is incredible. In 4,000 acres, more or less, I've seen 24 different leopards. Oh, what do we have in the red? One for the birders. Quite a common. Oh no, it's not quite a common one. That is actually a really cool one. Now, the race or version of these birds we get here is quite different from the one it's named after, and it's quite a difficult one. Oh, off it goes. So I'm going to say, who can tell me what bird that was? Remember, a little white patch on the shoulder, very good diagnostic. But it is the hint is that its name doesn't really comprehend what they look like here. So if you know the name of that bird, you can send me an email to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. So we're going to head towards the southern section of Cheetah Plains if we don't get any tracks here. And I actually got completely surprised, and I think I'm quite savvy and don't get surprised very often. But Jamie managed to sneak 2 presents onto the vehicle. So we'll wait till we get down to the southern. And would you guys like to join me in opening my birthday presents from the wonderful Jamie Patterson? I actually think I might put her in front of camera for that. The grand opening. She tried to sneakily give them to me off air. So I thought, no, you're not going to get away with it that easily. Okay, so we're going to keep checking down the northern boundary of Cheetah Plains. Hopefully there's something fantastic that's going to stride out of the mist. Of course, it's not going to be a gorilla, but we can hope for lots of other things. While we do that, Steph has made his way into what is left of the Buffalo's Hook waterhole.
We are absolutely at the Buffalo's Hook waterhole, and we do have something that's going to appear out of the mist for you. Absolutely. Have a look at this. Underneath the torchwood tree, we have a male leopard. Isn't that just fantastic? He's obviously enjoying the mist, lying in the sun, underneath the torchwood tree that is so often shared sightings here at Buffalo's Hook Dam with us. Isn't just this been the most amazing morning for cats? Djuma just producing, it's a gift that is just keep on giving here today, with Sindile starting off as Sindile, and then those wonderful Nkahuma cubs and their mothers, and now a male leopard, which to me looks like Tingana, but then again, I'm not the best at identifying these cats, to be honest. But with these raggedy ears, it could possibly even be a Mvula, which we haven't seen for some time. He's been missing in action, and as far as I know, mating with another leopard north of here. And it could be him just lying in the sun, enjoying the solitude. That is just fantastic. Still not looking his usual good self, I must be honest with you. Have a look at that hip bone that he's got sticking out there. This is a skinny cat. Expected though, he's not a youngster anymore, and leopard do lose some condition as they get a little bit older. That being said though, he's not in terrible condition. This guy is obviously still able to dominate a female enough, or dominate an area enough that a female warrants being mated with by him. Looks like he's damaged his claw as well there. Hey boy, what's happening to you? You've been in the wars a little bit. It's not uncommon for them to damage claws, even lose claws, in the melee that is hunting or being a solitary hunter, hunting the size prey that they do hunt, he will be fully capable of taking down an adult kudu of 400 pounds. Yeah, that is definitely Mvula. I can just see his face. Excuse me for 1 second while I just update everybody on the radio here. Light stations, there's one male leopard at Buffelshoek Dam. 2 vehicles in this particular sighting. Taxon, you're welcome to make your way in if you like. There's a space open for you. That beautiful green-eyed stare, if you think back a couple of minutes to those lions that we were just with, they have a topaz or a yellowy eye. I don't quite know exactly how to explain it. I mean, I've read that they call them topazzy. Whereas leopard for me always have a bluey green eye. Alright, I think Brent's got one of these birds that keep on flitting away. Go through there quickly and it'll allow me some time to get the radio working.
Look at this. It's this tree there. And there. Oh, there he goes. Where'd he go? Oh, now he's gone to the tree Dave was originally in. This is the first paradise flycatcher I've seen. So, oh, it's moving. Let's move. Now, isn't that incredible? That's amazing. It's a male. He's got that incredible long tail to impress all the ladies. Oh, no, don't fly away. Well, he's a bit far away, but we'll try. Okay, so zoom, Dave, to the right in that leadwood. Middle, up, a little bit to the left. There he is. There he is. Look at that beautiful long tail. Now, that long tail is all about the ladies. So, outside of breeding season, he doesn't have that. And now, these birds have migrated down from Central Africa to come join us for our summer. So, this warm weather has brought us some incredible birds. And that's the first. So, we've had the first warburgs. Now, we've got the first paradise. And I wonder who's going to see the first European roller. And the woodlands, I still think because of the drought, they're going to be a bit late this year. Now, Dave and I are on a very special place to us. In this particular little corner of Cheetah Plains, I was fiddling around and driving, and I suddenly got Dave say, "What the beep is that?" And of course it was a pangolin. And when I tried to explain that to Rebecca, who was in final control, Jamie was on the other vehicle, she said to Jamie, "Link Brent armadillo." And Jamie couldn't really hear, and we don't get any armadillos in Africa. So I think she thought I had an armor-plated lizard, not a pangolin. But yes, so that pangolin was actually right here on this very spot, scuttling across into the Kruger National Park. Now, to be on the Kruger National Park boundary. We equaled a safari live record here the other morning when we saw 7 giraffe together. We need to find 8. But there are no tracks on the Kruger, and I think Mr. Quarantine has not come down from Nkoro. That's not a bad thing, because it means the Nkanyeni is on the southern boundary. Says, was it a wax bill? It was not. It's actually slightly bigger than the wax bills. And I'll give her even a bigger hint, because I know it's misty, it's early, so the word yellow is in its name. Ah, that's a big hint. I mean, the word yellow is in its name. But while we keep checking around at Cheetah Plains, let's go back to Steph, who I believe has got the old man, the old bullet, who's made an appearance on Djuma.
All right, you catch me. Sorry, I'm busy listening to the radio, trying to do 2 things at once, which for me is virtually impossible. So we are looking at Mvula. I think I'm pretty confident that that is exactly what we are looking at. And now that we are a little bit, yes, thank you very much for helping me with the identification of this particular leopard. All of you that have confirmed that it's Mvula. I need all the help that I can get with these particular things, you know. Just have a look at the sun has now broken through these mist banks that are lying above us, and it's just affording us the most unbelievable sighting of him. That is just superb. You know, those footprints that you can see there, that back foot in particular is something that we have been tracking. I'm intimately familiar with Mvula's footprint. He obviously registers, which means that the footprint that we follow is that one that you're having a look at. Those two, those are the ones that we see in the sand and so often battle to find. Mvula, like his counterpart Tingana, they walk the most unbelievable distances. I fondly remember a memory with Scott where we tracked him from way off on the other side of Djuma, literally through Djuma in 4 hours, and he stopped to hunt a leguan, which is a big monitor lizard. He hunted a little steenbok and inhaled that along the way, and literally between game drives he walked from one end to the other, probably in a total of about 6 or 7 miles zigzagging through the bush, and disappeared 4 minutes before we went live. As is so often the case. Just have a look at that vista. Katie, all the way from the UK this morning. Good morning, firstly. And secondly, you've asked, with a leopard sleeping on the ground, does this mean he's comfortable? Does this mean that there's lion around, or he's just feeling at ease? Katie, to be honest, leopard cornered in a tree, although they can climb slightly higher than what lion can, it's actually more dangerous for them to be in trees than on the ground. On the ground, leopard are vulnerable to other leopard. They are vulnerable to hyena, and they're vulnerable to lion. But generally only hyena and lion when they have a kill around, and then those predators are usually focused on the kill and will come and chase him off and then devour whatever he has. Other leopard, Mvula's at that particular point where he will want to defend his territory and his rights over territory against any interlopers. And in a year or two, will probably be at the point where he won't be able to defend that and will lose it. And at that point, he does stand the risk of being injured in a confrontation, mortally injured in a confrontation, which is usually the demise of a leopard. Injury of some sort to be finished off by hyena, or in most cases, just another predator. They live hard lives, these animals out here, I must be honest with you. They're born hard. Their first year of life is incredibly rough. And then going into adolescence, and that solitary nature that they need to then cement in a territory, defend, and then eventually be out-competed by it. It's never an easy thing. But just to conclude that particular point, he is actually at the safest where he is right now. He has a 360 view around him, and he's got many escape routes from where he is. Shamsung, you've just asked me, is that mange on his face or just old age balding? Shamsung, you know, being bald myself, I'd like to say that it's mange, and that going bald is not a problem, but that is definitely an observation that you have made there, and a very true observation. Leopard don't go bald, fortunately for them, because I think they'd battle to find enough sun cream to keep their heads from going red like mine. But that to me does look like a bit of mange, to be honest. I'm going to call it and say it is mange. This time he's in a poor enough condition for the mange mite to actually proliferate on him. And with those cubs that we have in the area full of mange, it's not unlikely that he would have contracted it from somewhere and He's now just trying to fight off an infection. Not bad at the moment. He looks like it's at a point where he's rubbing his head. You would have noticed, for those of you who have been following the show for a number of years, that leopard quite often rub their heads on things. They have a lot of sebaceous glands on their foreheads, which they then use to scent mark bushes with. And I think he's just he's using that sort of as a scratching post. Yes, it is mange, I'm going to say. It's not necessarily going to end up as bad as what those cubs from the Styx Pride are. Courtney, I didn't quite catch your question there. I'm just going to ask Kirsty to reread it to me if you don't mind. Courtney, you asked me if the leopard spots are a pigmentation or is it fur? In other words, if we had to shave this leopard bald, would he have those spots on his skin or just the fur? That's a good question, Courtney. It's definitely a fur. It's definitely coloration of the fur. It's not a pigmentation. However, I've never seen a skinned leopard before or a shaved leopard before. So I don't actually know if the skin is a different color. I would imagine that it isn't. I mean, I can't imagine why it would be. But good question there, Courtney. You caught me there. I don't actually know. Perhaps one of you'd like to find out. I don't know if there's even references to that or even reference material to that. For that reason, I'm not going to get everyone to go and search for things right now. I think it's most likely that it's just a fur pattern, and that the skin is not pigmented in those rosettes that you see there, and that the skin is probably a uniform color of some sort, probably a grey, similar to what we're seeing now on the back of his ears, that greyish skin color on the back of his ears. All right, and I think at this particular point in time, Brent is probably dying to give you an update on his birding safari in Cheetah Plains. So off you go. We'll wait here and catch up with you in a little bit.
So the last of the mist is burning off here on Cheetah Plains. You can just see it above the tree line. We've made our way down to the southern open area, and I'm looking for my mate Gnorman the Gnu, but he's proving to be scarce. And I was hoping to catch him in the mist, but the sun beat me to it. As you can see, little patches are blowing off. But what do? We're going to move to the middle of the open area, and then I think it's present time. Jamie is going to make her appearance before she's supposed to start working. Well done to James and Gretchen, that very difficult little bird, which we can definitely classify as an LBJ, a little brown job, was indeed a yellow-throated petronia. So the yellow-throated petronias, of course, in a lot of places have a wonderful little yellow spot on their throat. Our race that we get here in the Sabi Sands doesn't have a yellow throat. So very well done if you guys got that. It's not an easy bird to ID, but here we go. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, this looks like a good spot. Just in case those cheetah appear, we've got a nice big view around. Well, Aaron is wondering, are Jamie and Dave going to sing happy birthday? Is that... Wait 1 second, let me just... Binoculars. Where did I put my binoculars? Interesting. I don't know where I put my binoculars. Ah, there they are. I think it's a piece of wood, but I'm hoping it's a piece of wood. It looked like a ground hornbill. But it is a ground hornbill piece of log. It does, yes. So now we're going to ask Jamie to come join me. Since I don't know how you managed to sneak these on without me seeing.
You were distracted by the coffee.
Yes, I was distracted by my Rwandan coffee.
I see.
So there we go.
No, wait,
And-
wait. So this, no, we have to.
Oh, wait, let's do this next. Look how awesome the paper is, though.
You see,
There's a
this
blue
is the most
darker, a
important
water
part,
back.
because this was seriously.
Yes!
The wild dog was
Look
right
at
on
that.
the edge.
Wild dogs.
Lovely.
That was,
Yay.
and that took some serious wrapping skill, and I'm not the greatest rapper.
Well, you're definitely much better than me. I'd probably just put it in newspaper. Or actually, what I normally do is just give it to you
Yes.
in what it came in.
Yeah,
Okay, so what should I open first?
it doesn't matter. There's no particular.
Okay, well, we'll leave the wild
There's
dog
more
for
presents.
wild dog for a second. It's a book.
It is a book.
I love books.
It is a book.
So,
Might be right up your alley.
Jamie and I have definitely the biggest book collection at Wild Earth. And so we've probably got close on
We've got a
just
library.
here. We've got our own library of books, which Dave has actually offered to asked if he can. Oh, I don't want to mess up.
You don't.
Ooh. Wow. Latin for bird watchers. This is so exciting.
Because we're giant nerds.
Yes, we are. Oh, and I actually know who did these paintings.
Oh, there you go.
Well, that one in particular, that was by Thomas Baines,
Oh, there you go.
who's my favorite wildlife artist. He's not the most correct wildlife artist, but if you have a chance, look on Google. One of my favorite paintings of all time is Thomas Baines' Buffalo at Victoria Falls. So it's that very Victorian era stylized animals. So, okay, we're going to go for the first Latin name. What is it going to be? A vanga, which is a type of flycatcher that I've never heard of. This is, Madagascar. We've got to go to Madagascar so I can see a red-shouldered vanga, which is, this is quite a good one. Cali salicis. How would you say that? Calicallicus. Rufocarpus. Now, Rufo must mean to do with the red.
Yeah.
This is how amazing this is. It was found by Phoebe Snetzinger, born Phoebe Bennett in 1921 in Lake Zurich, Illinois.
There's a very nice story about
Wow.
James Bond, and who's Ian Fleming.
Ian Fleming,
He was,
yes.
of course, a very big bird watcher.
Yes, he
and
was.
Where the name James Bond came from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, tell it to us.
So Ian Fleming had a friend called James Bond, who was also a very keen, avid bird watcher. And I think Ian Fleming decided that James Bond was a fantastic name for a spy, and proceeded to write the books without James Bond, the real James Bond's permission, which was fine up until the point that, of course, because James Bond had a certain reputation with the ladies,
Yes.
so the real James Bond's wife had something to say to Ian Fleming. So I think there was something about it was fine as long as he could name a particularly ugly bird after Ian Fleming in return.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So
Funny
you
little story.
learn everything. Okay, no, I don't want to mess this one up because it's got the wild dog.
Okay,
So I'm going to... No, where are you going? You can't disappear.
I was going to jump on the back.
I want to get a good opener. Yes, there we go. That'll do the trick. So we don't mess up the paper.
This is very neat.
This is probably the neatest I've ever opened anything in my life.
Very impressed.
Ooh. Ooh.
That's going to be complicated.
There we go. What is it? I don't know what this one is.
Something I wanted.
Well, see, that's the nice thing about being a couple. You can always buy something for someone else that you really wanted, and then you can actually justify. You are so clever. Okay, so now this is a very cool tool, and I'm actually going to I'm going to open it right away. Dave, do you know what this is?
No.
Is this the
There's three.
fisheye, macro, and wide angle? So, and as I said, it's perfect because I forgot the card for my big camera. So now this you take, and it turns your iPhone into a very smart thing. Ah, let's see what Dave looks like. And Jamie, I don't know which one this is.
I don't know which one that is.
Oh, it's the fisheye. So let's get a photo. There we go. So you guys can have a look what it looks like. probably shouldn't take photos into the sun. I do know better. But there we go. Very, very cool. How cool is that? Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Happy birthday.
Thank you. That is awesome. Okay. Well, on that note, we're going to carry on maneuvering. Oh, actually, 1 second. I think the Mala people have found a cheetah. But it is literally a pixel away. Or it will be a pixel. They have, unfortunately, as I said, it's probably about a kilometre away from there. The 2 male cheetah are there. So maybe they'll come visit Jamie on the sunset safari. So you can see that car in the distance. The cheetah are next to that car. Come on, guys, come this way. But it's getting a bit warm. So I don't know if they're going to move. Oh dear. Anyway, well, what that means is we know that cheetah are there, and it's unlikely they're going to come here this morning, but that's good for Jamie and Steph. They'll be out this afternoon, so there's a very good possibility that the cheetah will be on cheetah plains. But what that also does give us the opportunity to go look in an area we don't often go on cheetah plains for a possible new leopard, which is Tundi's unnamed daughter, who is to the west of us. And it's a bit of a funny area, so let's go have a look there while we search for new leopards and other wonderful things on cheetah plains. Let's go back to Steph and the old man. Not Steph.
You know, that's the second person that's called this cat an old man in the last 20 seconds. And, yeah, I mean, is Djuma is a newish male, a young male that is pushing him around. Tingana is obviously capitalizing on Mvula's deteriorating condition and is moving into Mvula's territory. And then you've got Anderson pushing, of course, Tingana up from the west and creating a little bit of pressure from that side. I think he'd still put up a bit of a fight. I'm not convinced he's that old. Dark Knight, you've asked, can old leopards be transferred to other reserves? The easy answer is yes, leopard are very transferable. They relocate incredibly well and they adapt to new environments incredibly well. Will it happen here in the Sabi Sands and the Kruger National Park? No. The reason for that is that this is considered an open system for all that it has a fence around it, but for all its massive surface area. And what we'll try and do is let nature be nature and let things happen as naturally as possible. And it's natural for leopard to get old and to make space for the younger cats. It's necessary for the younger cats to test themselves against the old hats, and they do this to gain experience and the necessary testing that leopard genetic needs. There needs to be hardship and trial, and it's what keeps the genes strong. You can't have weaklings mating with the females in this particular area and I'm talking about an open system here. I'm talking about a system like the Kruger National Park where its greatest treasure is its biodiversity and its gene pool, the strong, healthy, natural genes that it has, unsullied by anything. But yes, leopard, there's a couple of places in South Africa that rehabilitate leopard. Leopard that have been caught in snares or have become problem leopard in these fringe communities where leopard and people territories overlap. A leopard will quite often be caught before they are killed and then relocated to newer areas or areas where leopard have been eradicated in the past, either through bad farming practices or overhunting in some areas, and they relocate incredibly well. Let's have a look at those massive forearms that he has there. I mean, those shoulders and those forearms ending, they look almost stubby, but he's actually He's actually a fully grown cat, probably standing. They don't stand very tall, leopard. They probably stand about mid-thigh at the shoulder, but can be quite long from nose to tail. You get leopard, just like people, you get leopard of all different sizes and shapes. So D. Smith, you've just sent in a comment that Mvula was the first leopard that you ever saw on Safari Live, and I'm still glad that we're showing him to you, D. Smith, because it's obviously quite a memory jerker for you, which is nice. And then you've also said that James mentioned that Mvula's name means rain, and that's exactly true. Mvula is like rain, but I suppose it doesn't just necessarily mean. It's probably more to do with these African sudden, violent, massive, thunderous rain storms that are so typical of this particular area of the bush. Instead of just the soft pitter-patter, which I can't imagine a leopard of such majesty being named after. Still just keeping his head on a swivel, quartering this particular day. I'm not too sure what he's looking for. I mean, he would hunt, he's opportunistic, so if an impala had to come down here and want to get a sip of water, if there's anything left in these mud puddles, or some nyala come down to the edge here, he absolutely will hunt them. But it's also just likely that he's enjoying the view. Hayden, you've just asked me a question that I have absolutely no answer to, but I'm going to ask it. I'm going to share it in any case because I think it's quite a nice question. Firstly, you're asking this question all the way from California, which is impressive because it's pitch black there where you are right now. So good morning to you. And secondly, you've asked how many calories a day does a leopard need to eat to stay healthy? I don't know, to be honest. They need to probably eat between, let's say on average, lions eat between 2 and 5 kilograms of meat a day to stay healthy. So let's halve that to 1 to 3 kilograms. So 2 to 6 pounds of fresh protein per day. And I'm gathering that you're a health conscious person and that you count calories per day. So you know, for those of you who are health consciously minded, let's say 1 to 2 kilograms, so 2 to 6 pounds of fresh protein per day is what he would need to stay healthy or to have a healthy metabolism. Do they eat that? No. Leopard are sort of feast or famine creatures. They will catch whatever they can. Sometimes, if they're very lucky, they can catch more than one animal and cache animals in various trees around where they are and go from one carcass to another. But more often, they go from periods of extended starvation, so periods of a week or more without food, and then they will kill something big and lie for 3 or 4 days feeding on that and then move off again, sometimes catching something relatively soon, sometimes not. He looks quite skinny, this particular leopard. He looks like he hasn't eaten anything in a week or two. So I hope that answered your question, you know, and that you've found how many calories a piece of venison gives you. Obviously, venison out here having little to no fat on it, so calorie counts would be lower than a piece of fatty beef. He's just laying down there, completely oblivious to us. Just exactly the way I enjoy watching leopard. This leopard would be doing this whether we were here or not, and that is precisely the goal that we try and achieve here at Wild Earth and with Safari Live. We try and touch the earth lightly. Not always possible, especially when you've got Brent Smith driving the car, but then you wouldn't see as many cats as you do without him bashing around the way he does. His pelvis is very skinny. I'm looking now where the base of his tail goes into into his pelvis, and you can clearly see that hip joint sticking out there. He needs a meal. I'm just having a look now that we're a little bit closer at that damaged claw that he has there. I don't quite know. Yeah, it does look like he's damaged that claw there, which, you know, on a leopard that's this old, you don't get to this old being a leopard without carrying some scars. There's just no ways that he would have made it this far without broken bones and the rest that goes with it. And that claw could have been the result of an animal pulling incredibly hard against him, or getting stuck on something. Old male leopard like this are very, very good at hunting large warthog. And it could have been a warthog that gave him that injury. Margaret, all the way from Kansas, you've actually just made an observation I was looking at as you spoke your question. You want to know if the tip of his tail is all there. It looks like he's missing it. Margaret, I just looked at it. Does look short from this particular angle, but I think he's got all his tail. How I'm knowing this is that the bottom of a leopard's tail is pure white, and I can't really see exactly under his tail, but it doesn't look like the spots extend all the way to the end of the tail. I also don't see any baldness at the tip of the tail, which would be as a result of some scar tissue if it had it bitten off by something. So it's a guess, but I'm guessing that he's got his whole tail. It just looks bizarre from this particular angle. It looks like he's got his tail chopped off and is a bit shorter than it should be. Also, if you bring down the line of the tail down towards his toes, you'll see that it almost fits. The geometry there looks like it will stretch past his toes almost. That's another sign that that leopard's tail is intact. But yeah, good observation there, Margaret. You know, when I first saw Mvula with Scott Dyson more than a year ago now, we were on foot, and this particular leopard allowed us to follow him on foot for probably, I don't know, half a mile or so, just every now and again looking over his shoulder to make sure that we knew he was there and that he knew we were there, and that, you know, he wasn't quite snarling at us, and he carried on with his day. He allowed us to walk with him. It was just one of the most amazing experiences that I've experienced in recent times, was this tolerance that this animal has for humans, and just a really, really special experience. But while he sleeps peacefully here on the side of Buffelshoek Dam, Brent is scouring Cheetah Plains, and I'm sure he has an update or two for you.
Well, here are some of the zebras that were in the mist earlier in the beautiful morning sunshine, and luckily they are heading towards the water, so I'm going to get there before them, and hopefully they're going to have a nice drink next to us. She almost looks like a little bachelor group. I'll have a closer look now. Very attentive as they approach the water, especially at this time of the year. Lion and leopard are hanging about where there's water, looking for an easy meal. Oh, that's just mud, so we'll go to the next one where there's water. It might take a while to get here. We'll give them a chance. Now, this is where the elephants were in the mist this morning. I think they're going to make another visit to the water to play in the mud once it gets a bit hotter. I think we're going to have a nice hot day today. There we go, there's the water. Let's hope the zebra come here. So Virginia in Kentucky is wondering, when I go home, are the animals as relaxed as they are on the Sabi Sands? Most of them are, except for the leopards. The leopards are a little bit skittish, and we generally have to be quite careful when we drive around them, like we did with Djuma. After dark, they're okay, but during the day... Oh, I heard an elephant scream somewhere. During the day, they are a bit skittish. And it is amazing that not even 10 years ago, leopards were shot on sight in those areas, and now it's a game reserve. We've got one young male who's about the same age as old Cinderella, who's actually very relaxed all the time, but it's taken quite a bit of work to get him there. So, yes and no. So everything is as relaxed except for the leopards. Where are those zebras now? Looks like they might take their time in getting here. Oh, there is a dove having a drink, fiddling around in the mud. Hello. Oof, it's warming up really quickly now that the mist's gone. I think we're going to get over 30 degrees. What's that, about 88 Fahrenheit today? You can hear the clinking of a blacksmith lapwing. And I can hear a golden-breasted bunting calling in the distance. Now, Anna-Marie is saying, before long, the bee-eaters will be back. Now, Anna-Marie, I actually have an in on the bee-eaters, and I'll know almost to the day when they're going to arrive. Now, when I lived in Tanzania, I was part of the Tanzanian Bird Club, or the Tanzanian Rare Bird Society, and what that means is I get an email when the bee eaters go across Tanzania, and it's about 9 days or 10 days if the bee eaters are seen in southern Tanzania to when they arrive in South Africa. But it looks like the zebras are going to take their time, so we're going to keep moving. I did find something. Well, I actually will do this quickly. So we saw honey badger tracks on the road, and then found a little hinged tortoise, a Speaks hinged tortoise that had been opened up. Now, I don't think the honey badgers did this. I think the honey badger was just picked it up and carried it for fun, so it could have been a young honey badger. Now, I can't see any obvious teeth marks. Oh, maybe. So I'm thinking this could have been a ground hornbill that has pecked its way through, opened up the carapace, and eaten the tortoise. Now, you can see where they get the hinged name from. It looks like a little hinge there, even though it's not a mobile hinge. But it does look, and it protects their bottom, although it doesn't look like all the armor plating in the world protected this poor tortoise from the attentions, I think, of a ground hornbill. It's very difficult to be 100%. So there are no teeth marks, but you can see crack along there and another crack here. So whatever it is, it's something with great pressure, and I think it's been a bang, a hit, rather than a crunch. So if it was a crunch, something like a hyena, I think we would see a lot more of the little armor platings coming off, and a lot more cracks. So I think this is more of a 1 or 2 solid strikes that's opened up this tortoise. But it is a beautiful shell, and we're going to add to my collection. And fortunately, normally when you find tortoise shells, they're quite smelly. This one's just a little smelly, but very, very pretty. It's so amazing. These are individual platings here. Look at the lines, how it's grown. So there's the oldest part, and it's grown outwards. Stunning. Well, the zebras aren't as impressed, so they're just looking at us at a distance. So they might be a little bit nervous to come drink while we're here. So let's let the poor zebras have a drink, because it is a drought after all. Okay. Well, exciting prospects with those two male cheetahs sitting on Mala Mala, and there's a very good chance that they're going to come across. There's not much water that side of Mala Mala, so the closest water to where they are is Cheetah Plains Pan. Might be worth having a check there on the sunset safari. Unfortunately, I won't be there. It could be Jamie or it could be Steph going to look for those cheetah, but it sounds like while we've been dallying about on Cheetah Plains, we did have that incredible elephant experience though this morning. Steph has had all the big cat luck. Sindila, Mvula, the Nkahumas. And speaking of big cats and big cat luck, let's go back to the old man, and this time I mean Steph, not Mvula.
Says Brent, who's 1 year older than I am at the moment. Well, 1 year older than he was yesterday, basically. He hasn't done too much, I must be honest with you. He's just been lying here surveying his domain. Brian and I were busy chatting about where it would be better for him to actually find impala or not. I don't know, you know, this particular pan, Brian was here 48 hours ago, and although it looks like it's dry, he said that there was this multitude of animals. There must have been a herd of elephant. What else was here, Brian? There was some nyala.
Yeah, some birds.
Some birds. So maybe Mvula knows something we don't, you know. And then again, there's always just this likelihood that he's just come here for the view, that he's just enjoying watching the dam, same as we do from day to day, looking at some birds, watching the mist burn off and the clouds in the sky. You know, leopard are not on timetables. They don't have an agenda to fulfill. They don't have a checklist of things to do in a day. They just be. They just are. And today he just is looking at this view. Sylvia in Oregon, you've just asked an interesting question in that it's nice to go over these things from time to time. It's a big stretch from this guy. You've asked who decides on individual leopard names, and it's a cause for great conversation, this in actual fact. So leopard are generally named when they turn 1 year old in the place where they are born by the ranger who found the cub in the first place, a year previously, obviously. The name is gifted to a leopard based on a couple of factors, based on their character or based on a significant event that happened in that leopard's life, or a location that leopard likes to be in, a particular tree or a particular crossing or a particular rocky outcrop, etc., etc. If it's a female cub, that name sticks because female cubs do not leave their natal area. They'll set up territories adjacent to and usually within the same traverse area as their mothers and spend the rest of their lives in those areas. Male leopard disperse and they start leaving their natal areas or their natal ranges when they are around about 2 to 2.5 years old, sometimes stretching to about 3 years old, and they walk around then dispersing from their natal range for about 2 to 3 years before they take over their own territory or squash open their own territory. At which point they are usually, not always, but usually far away from where they were born and therefore far away from the people that named them. So in other words, what will happen in this area is we all of a sudden will get a new male leopard, a new young male leopard in this area. And then based on a particular character trait or a particular location once again, or a significant event, the rangers in that area will get together and name that leopard. It's not a name that is, the naming rights are not reserved, and they're not necessarily carried over from his baby name, for lack of a better word, or his adolescent name, for lack of a better word. So Mvula was, let's just use him as an example, and once again, I'm just using him as an example. I don't know exactly where he was born or what his juvenile name was, but he would have been born somewhere else. He would have been named by those rangers, potentially, if he came from a commercially active place like the Sabi Sands. He then would have dispersed, and when he arrived here, he would have been named Mvula by the local rangers, by the local guys who were seeing him active at that particular point. And he would have been called Mvula, which means rain, for some event or some nature of his that I'm not too sure of exactly why he was named that. I'd have to ask Taxon and Aubrey for that. They probably were instrumental in giving him that name, and were, you know, they were present at that particular time. And that's basically how naming of leopards works, basically, in a nutshell. Have I forgotten anything? I don't think so, no. So I hope that answered your question. And like I said, it's a topic of much conversation, the naming of a leopard for a particular trait. Atypically, we've named Karula, which is a female leopard that is dominant in this area. We've named her cubs and Shadow's cub before they've reached a year old. And we've done that because they are such characters in our story. It took a little bit of negotiating with the local ranger teams around to actually settle on Karula's cub's name and Shadow's cub's names earlier than a year. We haven't named Shadow's cub. Excuse me, we haven't named Shadow's cub yet, but we have named Karula's cubs, Hosana and Shongile. And the local rangers have decided that those names will stick, and so everyone calls them Hosana and Shongile before they are a year old, which is quite nice of them. It was atypical, and it was a gift to us for that. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Have a look at that side profile there. For those of you who are interested in screen grabs, you're not going to get a much better screen grab of Mvula. And of course, there's always the chance that this is one of the last times that we see him in this particular state. So for those of you who keep records of these animals over the years and throughout the lives of these particular cats, it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a screenshot the next time you see him in profile, and also when he faces us again. And it'll be nice to add to your photo journal of him. I haven't seen him, how long now, Brian? I haven't personally seen Mvula for more than 6 or 7 months. Yeah, maybe even longer than that.
Quite a few months.
Yeah, many months. And it might be many months again before we see him, if we ever see him again. Excuse me for 1 second while I just do the administration that is necessary when you're the only vehicle in a sighting. So I'm quickly going to be speaking on the radio. The station's a single male leopard, still static at Buffelshoek Dam, 1 vehicle in this particular sighting and 1 on approach. Alright, and that was my administration, sort of done. Copy that. So Sean, all the way in Oregon, wants to know why he has much bigger front paws than back. And that's because he catches his food with those front paws, and they are slightly more developed. They are much bigger, probably 20% bigger than his back paws, and also more round. And that's because he can splay those toes open, or those fingers open. The back paws are used to launch himself off the ground in a charge at some prey, and then the front paws are used to catch and hold the prey down, and also to maneuver it, to manipulate it into a position where a killing bite can be delivered. Huge male leopard like this that have that very thick neck and very thickly muscled skull or can deliver a bite force that can crush the skull of most animals, crush the next vertebra, and also bite into, in the case of warthog, bite through the chest cavity and into the heart with an ease that will astound you, to be honest with you. I don't even want to know what the bite force of these animals is, but it's incredible. And yeah, it's all that sort of make him this efficient killer that he is. And they are probably one of the best killers out here in terms of effort for reward. There are animals out here that have a higher success rate than leopard, and cheetah and wild dog have higher success rates than what leopard do. But for the conservation of energy, I do not think that there's an animal that has a large predator at least anyway, that has a higher conservation of energy. Yeah. If you just excuse me, this sighting is generating a lot of interest. I'm going to have to just go onto the radio one more time. Just bear with me, please. All right, and I think while I just manage the sighting, I think to send you over to Brent will be infinitely better than listening to me warble on the radio. See you in a bit.
Well, we are still on Cheetah Plains. We're having a look through the center of Cheetah Plains at the moment, hoping for a big cat to appear. Now, the sticks are still in coral. Those two male cheetah are still in Mara. So, by law of averages, there has to be a big cat here somewhere. If there are big cats to the right and big cats to the left, why can't there be big cats in the middle? So we're going to check the little water hole in front of the Cheetah Plains Lodge. It's probably one of the areas we check the least. We often just scoot through and move towards the open areas. Thomas in Pennsylvania. Believe it or not, Thomas, I nearly ended up living in Pennsylvania for a while. So that's a long story for another day. And Thomas is wondering if other guides in the greater Kruger area let us know if there are any male lion coalitions on their way towards us. In Kruger itself, no, because there's no one there. But if they're coming from the city or they come from can you believe? I mean, we're so sophisticated these days. There's a WhatsApp group for big cat movements in the Sabi Sands that we're all part of. So we just check our phones. And the year I started in the Sabi Sands, you used to have to bump into someone on the boundary for those updates, or use. But of course, no, it wasn't a telegraph. I'm not that old, although I'm feeling old. No, I'm only joking. I was going to make a very crude joke, but I decided that probably, wow, David's going to land. Beautiful. Not a bird we see too often. Did you see it land? You've got it in the middle of the frame. Look at that. A male double-banded sandgrouse. Now, these birds are so awesome. They live in quite often very arid areas, and they nest in very arid areas. And they actually fly to water holes, collect water in their feathers, and fly back to where their nest is, and give the chicks a drink from water droplets collected in their breast feathers. Now, we only get one sandgrouse species here, and in other parts of Africa, you've got multiple sandgrouse species, and they all drink and they all take water back to their chicks. Now, can you imagine if there's a flock of 5,000 Birchall sandgrouse and there's a flock of 2,000 double-banded? They can't all drink at the same time. So they have time sharing around any little bit of water, and how they do that is they drink at different times of the day. So double-banded sandgrouse drinks before dawn, or goes to water and collects water and drinks before dawn, so before the sun pops up. That's double-banded sandgrass. That's their time for drinking. Now, from about now 11 o'clock is chill sandgrass drinking. And then in the late afternoon, it is Namakwa sandgrass drinking time. And in the middle of the night, it's the yellow-throated sandgrasses drinking time. Drink at different times, and they're all utilized quite often in places like Botswana, the exact same water hole. But to stop congestion, they all drink at different times. And I find that incredibly fascinating. So, of course, they're different species, but they all belong to the same family. And unfortunately, nothing. Quite often we find a little bushbuck sneaking through for a drink. So unfortunately nothing here today, so we're going to start making our way back towards Djuma private game reserve. And I'm hoping for a nice big fry up for breakfast. I think I can smell them from here already. So while we start moving back towards Djuma, let's go and see how Steph's doing.
I'm doing fine, thanks. So we've had to obviously leave Mvula lying on the banks of Buffelshoek Dam, and because so many people want to come and have a look at him. He's literally hasn't been seen in these areas in months, and there's a bunch of people that are saying they want to really come and see what he looks like and how's he doing and what his condition is in. And because we only allow a limited amount of people around any particular sighting, and that's to reduce stress on these animals and keep them friendly with the cars, we made some space. We'd spent enough time with him, and I think it was just nice to give some other people a chance to see him and interact with him and spend some time with him. Wow, there's a lot of hyena and leopard tracks around. I wonder if he hasn't got a kill somewhere. No, his belly is not full enough for him to have a kill somewhere. And this is just, I think, the normal hyena up and down on the road over here and on the game path that we just passed over there. If he had killed something, he'd have a much fuller belly, and he may have walked to Buffelshoek Dam to have a drink of water if he was full, but we would have seen some evidence of him with a fuller belly. Perhaps he did kill something and didn't even get a chance to eat it before the hyena stole it from him, which is also a possibility. Lots of hyena tracks on the floor here. The whole clan has been running up and down. Sandy in Canada, good evening to you, or good morning from our side, good evening to you. You've asked all the way from Canada, if one of the 4 of our medically important spiders here had to bite Mvula, will it have the same effect on him? Good question there, Sandy, and I'm going to answer it as best as I can. The spiders that have a cytotoxic venom, in other words, the spiders that have a cell-destroying venom, would absolutely have an effect on him. And they include the 6-eyed desert crab spider, which by volume is the most toxic spider we have here. It includes the sac spider, which we find here, and the violin spider, which we find out here. They have cytotoxic venom. They will cause necrosis and ulceration at the bite site. They will absolutely affect him. The one that I'm not too sure of is the black widow or black button spider or recluse spider. They have a neurotoxic venom which affects heartbeat and respiration. Quite often with spider venoms, they're very keyed to a specific target prey, and although they have effects in humans, they're still keyed at a particular prey source. And I'm not sure if black widow venom would affect leopard the same way that it affects people. In other words, spreading through the lymphatic system, creating intense pain in the lymph nodes, and then having an effect on your respiration and your ability for your body to beat your heart, basically. I'd like to believe, because a leopard is a mammal, that it probably would have a similar effect, perhaps not as devastating, maybe more so, but it may also have absolutely no effect whatsoever on a leopard, because they're just different. They're different animals. So while I didn't really answer your question, I hope I shed some more light on potentially making your own conclusion from that bit of information. Ah, what a lovely day. This mist is now burnt off, leaving a scattering of clouds above us. Ali, good morning, Ali. You've asked what my favorite bug or insect is. I don't really have a favorite, to be honest. I just enjoy all of the insects. I enjoy all of the bugs. To me, they're just fascinating. The reason why I like insects at the moment is because in my mind I blow them up to be as big as lion or big as leopard, and I can only just imagine what they would be like. They're just so much more terrifying and so much more adept at hunting their particular prey species. They're just so much more bizarrely shaped and functioned and provisioned and resourced. For me, that it blows my mind at the variation and the diversity of insects that we have out here. So I don't really have a favorite. Obviously, the ones that are more bizarrely shaped, have armaments that defy imagination, or very, very beautifully colored, capture my immediate interest, but I like them all, to be quite honest with you. I mean, for those of you who are joining us this morning, that little minute spider that was on the dashboard this morning, holding up his leg in the mist, catching some water on the bristles on his leg, and then licking off or eating off that water, was just fascinating for me. Yeah, it's similar to me holding up my arm and then licking the dew off of the hair on my arm to gather moisture. Just, it's nice. I feel like I'm rambling. All right, we're going down central now. It'll give us hopefully a nice view of these clouds. Now, as I was mentioning with a mist is actually a cloud that forms on the ground and quite often gets burnt off. But you can see there in the distance, the mist is still hugging close to the ground. And I must be honest, although the clouds above us look to be a couple of 100 yards or so off the ground, it looks like something's happening. There's definitely a front. And with Spring Day happening for us tomorrow on the 1st of September, it's not uncommon for us to get rain around Spring Day, to be honest, with these cold fronts that come in. But we're also having a change of weather systems. The low pressure and the high pressure systems that are prevalent over us during a winter or a summer, or during a dry and a wet period, are now shifting. And as they're shifting, they're bringing in different elements here. They're bringing in moisture from the Indian Ocean, and that creates a change in the available moisture in the air. Cold fronts are still busy sweeping up from Antarctica, across the Cape and up into the country and boiling over the escarpment. And so we end up in this mush of weather here as the low pressure that is dominant in summer starts to reassert itself here. And the high pressure that's dominant in winter starts to move out over the Indian Ocean. And things change a little bit here. It's quite exciting. Nice time of the year. We're expecting some wind. August has been a blustery month for us, not the common high winds that we usually have. September usually signifies a rain or two and this mistiness that comes in, and then we have our first large rains, or expecting our first large rains, at least anyway, in October, holding thumbs that the drought is broken somewhere around the 15th or 10th, excuse me, for James and I to win our bet. Brian's just shaking his head at the moment going, yeah, it's going to happen on the 20th of September, I think, is what he's predicted the drought to break. But who knows what the actual answer to that is. Let's see if we're lucky enough to share this yellow-billed hornbill is having a bit of a dance with the mate. Let's see if they do it now for us. Not yellow-billed, excuse me, red-billed hornbill. He's having a a groom, a morning groom. Birds' feathers, of course, vitally important to their ability to stay warm and to fly and to function. And so this isn't preening, but it is grooming. Preening is what a duck does when it takes oil from a gland at the base of its tail and it oils its feathers. Or I think penguin do as well. Yes. What this bird is doing is just relieving itch and getting rid of feathers that are busy molting. How a bird molts is it sheds a feather, well, its primary feathers at least anyway, the feathers that it uses for flying are shed one feather at a time, starting at the tip of one wing and moving around the bird, ending at the tip of that wing again. And they'll do it about once a year, I think if my memory serves me correctly, they molt about once a year. What he's doing now is he's just busy using that long red bill of his to groom through his secondary feathers, which are the feathers that cover his belly and under his wings, the ones that keep him warm. And they can shed numerous of these. And what he's busy doing there now is he's just busy tugging at his feathers, realigning them. The feather filaments themselves are made up of a bunch of hooks and rings similar to Velcro. And they need to be combed to stay hooked in with one another, which provides a waterproof layer and also a weather barrier, a keen weather barrier. Birds' feathers are some of the most insulating substances per volume on Earth. And one of the reasons why goose or duck down duvets and comforters and pillows are so highly prized. Sharing the morning with his red-billed hornbill. You can see that he's facing his back to the sun and opening up his wings, which is allowing us to see that black under the black feathers on his back. And he's deliberately doing that. He's deliberately facing the sun. That will be absorbing heat, and he's heating up his core. With the mist that was rolling in yesterday and with a lack of vegetation on these trees, I have no doubt that this particular bird was feeling pretty exposed last night. And with the lack of decent food around, I'll say that he got pretty cold last night. So wet and cold and hungry, and now he's just grooming himself, realigning his feathers after being sodden last night in the mist, and then warming up with that black patch on his back in the sun. That's nice. Have a look at that. Wings relaxed, black patch open, sun tanning. Yes. All right, Brent Leo Smith is back on Djuma and is now close to the Mulwati, wanting to share that beautiful drainage line with you. So off you go, and see you in a bit.
So we are in the Mulwati. We are hoping Queen Karula might make an appearance, but the real reason we're here is we're in search of the elusive white-throated robin. Now, it has avoided us many, many times over the last 10 days that we've been searching. We've heard them, but we haven't seen them. And maybe Dave is my lucky charm. He's the only person I've managed to put the white-throated robin on camera with before, and it was just around the corner. Now, oh, kingfisher. To the left. There we go. On that big, there we go. A little bit up. There he is. Hello, little striped kingfisher. Now, in the Mulwati, where there's steep banks, the kingfishers will nest. So, always a good spot to look for them. Oh, he's off. And so shall we be. Now, I'm also hoping that we're going to see my favourite antelope while we cruise the Mulwati. And there's a very good chance that they're going to be near the fruiting jackalberry. And it is, of course, the bushbuck. Beautiful little antelope with a backbone of steel. Male bushbuck are actually quite ferocious creatures for a little guy. And they have been recorded fending off lion and leopard as well. Oh, hello. What tracks do we have here? No, it's not Karula, unfortunately. The last time we found Karula's tracks, I was like, oh, these look quite fresh. Oh, there's a cub track. And we came around the corner, I was like, oh, leopard cub. That could happen. You never know. We are live. But we are heading into white-throated robin country now. This little corner here is the spot where we managed to get it on camera before. Like most robins, they are what you call a skulking species. So they flick about in the little thickets and that makes them very difficult to get on camera. So it's always a lovely challenge to try and get a white... Sorry about that. Okay, so the jackalberry we saw the white-throated robin in last time was right here and coming up on this corner there. But I can't hear him at the moment, and that's the best way to find Natal Franklin scuttering across in front of us. Hi Mia. Mia's 4 years old and she says happy birthday Brent. Thank you for the very special message, Mia. So happy you got to share my birthday drive with me. Okay. No white-throated robins, but a schnoozing and nyala chewing the cud. So we're going to switch off and listen while we look at that nyala to see if the white-throated robin starts calling. Here, a great go-away bird, chin spot batus. Oh, I can hear the robin. He's up ahead. Hopefully, our luck is about to change with the white-throated robin. Sounds like he's around some big timbuerty trees and jackalberries up ahead. Go somewhere in this little thicket here. It sounds like where he was. Now, can we find the skulker? Hey. You can hear him. Okay. Come on. Oh, I know where I'm going. 4 minutes to find a white-throated robin. I think it's probably less than 4 minutes now. Okay. A bird party here. He's part of it. Three minutes. It's one calling there, one calling there. Which one do we go for? And we go for this one. Oh no. It's this. There's two robins there. Actually, there's also a white-browed scrub robin. Let's go back to this. And they're in that little thicket there. It's gone behind us. there's the white-browed scrub robin. See him, Dad?
Yeah, thanks, man.
No, come out. Oh, he's moved now. Right, there we go. He's just. Oh, he's gone. So that's a white-browed scrub robin. And I can't hear the white-throated now. I can only hear. Okay, Dave. A little bit to the left. Okay, that bush there. Top. In that thicket there, it's flitting around. But there it is. White. That's the white-browed scrub robin though. Look at him doing his display. The flicking tail. It's not the white-throated, but it is a robin. And it is doing that incredible display they do while they're calling. Watch how that tail flicks. Oh, off it goes. We've got... Oh dear, I can't hear the white-throated. I can only hear the white-browed now. But there it is on top. And so zoom and to the right. Wait. A little bit more to the right. And up a bit, just come out a bit. Where is he? Oh, sorry, I'm getting confused. To the left. There we go. And up. I can see him with my eyes, I can't see him in the camera. But anyway, it is the white-browed scrub robin. The white-throated robin has avoided us, and it's the last 20 seconds of drive. And, well, I'm going to have to come back from leave to find a white-throated robin. Hopefully, James, or Steph can do it for me while I'm on leave. But thanks for joining me on my birthday drive. And from Steph, myself, and everyone else, bye!